Hello and welcome, dear viewers. This is our weekly edition, ATV Special. And here I am Zalalami Beltal, your host. Amhara region, which is one of the autonomous regions in Ethiopia, is blessed with diversified and abundant tourist sites. Its historical, cultural, and natural tourist attraction places have a great potential to attract many tourists around the world. The rock-hewn church of Lalibela, which is registered by UNESCO, United Nations Education, Science and Culture Organization, is found in Amhara region. Samin Mountain, which is also recognized and registered by UNESCO as one of the natural heritage of our world, is found in Amhara region. Lake Tana and its rich historical monasteries is also found in the beautiful city of Bahar Dar, here in Amhara region. We can say many things about the tourism potentials of Amhara region. The contradiction is Amhara region as a region and Ethiopia as a nation are not being beneficiary of these rich tourism potentials. So far, efforts are made to boost the contribution of tourism for the overall development of the country. Dear viewers, today's program focused on tourism in Amhara region. For this, I have invited a guest. So, my guest is Dr. Mulugan Adana, who is Head of Culture and Tourism Bureau in Amhara region. So, please do stay with us. Dr. Mulugan, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for inviting me today.
Okay. It's great to see you here in the studio, Dr. Mulugan. As we all remember, 2012 has passed with its own history. And I do believe that we can learn from the things of the past. So my first question for you is, what were the major successes and the challenges, drawbacks of the year 2012?
Thank you very much. As you know, we have already passed 365 days, which is 1 year.
Yeah. And
it's only 4 days from the new change.
Sure.
A new year.
Yeah.
Last year was a time of many challenges as well as opportunities. To remind some of the opportunities we had, as it was a continuation of the reform in the country, many changes have been made by the government of the country and the regional government of Amhara National Regional State as well. To speak from our perspective, from a perspective of the Amhara National Regional State Culture and Tourism Bureau, last year was a very successful year for us. It was a successful year because we had accomplished our activities which were planned during the first quarter of the year. To mention some, we had practiced celebrating and preparing events in the region, which means across the region. And some of the events were starting from last summer. And you can take the Shadei, Ashandiye and Solal event, which is a very historical and cultural, which is also a religious kind of event. And these events, as you know, are very common in our region, particularly in the areas of Wag, Lalibela, Central Gondar, Raya Kobo. These areas are highly celebrating this Ashandiye, Solal and Shadei. As you know, in culture there are cultural traits which are components and elements of the big culture. This extends to the areas of Tigray, particularly the Temben area. In cultural geography, professionals call it cultural region. And cultural regions do have their own course and peripheries, which requires intense studies. And we were very much successful in accomplishing these events with a great success. The other events were the Christmas, which is celebrated regularly in Lalibela with a very huge population, both from abroad and domestic. We were successful in that regard also. We had another great event of Tumkat, as you know, which is one of the colorful events in Ethiopia.
It's also inscribed, I think.
Yep, yeah. It has been inscribed last year by UNESCO also as one of the intangible resources.
Yeah.
And we were successful in celebrating that. Not only in Gondar, this practice was also highly and colorfully celebrated in North Shawa, particularly around the area of Ararti, which is specifically known as Irabuti. And we celebrated that very successfully. Not only that, we had events at Awi, National Dawn, National Tea Dawn.
Yeah.
There are horsemen associations, which accounts about 80 years old. You can imagine how they are within it. So there were races and there were other related activities with the horses, and that was colorfully again celebrated with the presence of higher officials at federal level, including the Vice Prime Minister. We had also celebrated the same event at Debre Tabor because the horse racing is also common there. Not only this, we had also a good celebration very recently at Debre Tabor. Debre Tabor at Debre Tabor. This is commonly celebrated by the people around Debre Tabor and University of Debre Tabor as well. So all these things were our successes from event preparation and accomplishment perspective. But these are some. Still, we had other successes in relation to heritage maintenances. Though the budget we have been allocated by the regional government is very minimum, because as you know, there are very huge demands in the region, demands of development, demands of infrastructure, demands of other related things. But with this, we have been allocated some amount of money to maintain these heritages, so that last year in 2012 we were also successful to maintain about 18 sites of churches, mosques and museums. Of all, we have accomplished the Yismanugus. If you remember, Yismanugus is a place where Emperor Menelik signed an agreement with the Italians, which is known as the Wuchale Treaty. And there we have already built and made ready one museum, a very national museum and that was another success for us. The work is already accomplished and we are fulfilling other important materials and human resources to make it functional the coming new year, which is 2030. With this also we had other collaboration activities with the universities in the region. To mention some, the collaboration with University of Gondar to prepare a GIZ conference University of Bahar Dar, again another conference on Ge'ez. As you know, Ge'ez is one of the important languages in Ethiopia.
It's indigenous.
Yeah, it is indigenous for us. Not only that, most of the publications during ancient times were recorded with Ge'ez.
Yeah.
So that is another important thing, to revive it again and again.
Yeah, to utilize our indigenous knowledge, I think it's great to focus on Ge'ez language.
That is true.
And you have achieved a lot, I think.
That is true.
Yeah.
Another collaboration we made was with Wallo University. And Wallo University, as the other universities, is another partner of our ministry and bureau. And there was one event prepared in Desse, which was on indigenous knowledge related with Islam religion, Christian religion, and other indigenous knowledges as well. So that event was successfully accomplished with them.
Yeah.
Another very important time for us was last year, because last year we had a Nationalities and Peoples Day celebrated in Addis, prepared by the Oromia regional state. And there we were one of the active participants, because as you know, we have various types of cultural importances, and we had that opportunity to show what culture is from Amhara regional state. And that was again another very important time for us. Again, in the previous year, we had also the inter-regional cooperations, discussions to maintain the people-to-people relation, apart from the government-to-government, regional government relationships. If you remember, last year there was Irrecha, and our cultural team was attending that Irrecha ceremony, and that was a good opportunity for us to show our cultural capacities.
Sure.
Again, last year was a time in which we tried to build the capacity of our workers, both in the bureau and in the lower structural organizations, like the zonal and warada workers. We were giving various kinds of trainings for them, and that was another important achievement for the bureau.
Yeah, Dr. Mulkan, you are becoming more broader, and I appreciate your information, by the way. But for the interest of time, I will come to those questions bit by bit later in my show. But just tell us the challenges, because you have immensely told us the major successes gained in 2012. So come to those challenges that you have faced in the year 2012.
Very good. Before I go to the challenges, please allow me to add you one very important accomplishment last year.
Okay.
Before the introduction of COVID-19 to the arena, our bureau was working to enhance the tourist flow, both the domestic and the international tourists coming to visit our destination. And last year we had a plan of about 60 million domestic tourists and about 450,000 and 439 foreign tourists to come. This was a plan. And the accomplishment of that year is about 14,073,476 domestic tourists and 172,127 foreign tourists. From all these, we had a total of 2.6 billion birr income collected from both foreign visitors and domestic visitors. This was another very successful achievement. As I am telling you this, it was a performance recorded in 6 months.
Before the coming of COVID.
That is it, yeah. If COVID was not there, you can imagine how much income could have been generated in the region.
Yeah.
When I come to the challenges, successes are always supplemented with challenges. Without challenge, there is no success. And we have been challenged also in the last budget year. One of the challenge was a budget. As you know, the region hosts a very huge number of population, very vast geographic area, and very deprived of provision of infrastructures for the last 27, 28 years.
Exactly.
And you can imagine what it means.
Yeah.
Most of our destinations are not good destinations, favorable destinations for tourists.
Yeah.
Some of the sites do not have toilets.
Yeah.
Some of the areas do not have hiking roads.
Yeah.
Some of the areas do not have even these dry weather roads, let alone all weather roads. So all these things were challenges. We had a budget limitation. Still that's not solved, and we are expecting this year a better budget allocation from the treasury of the regional government, so that this would be enhanced. The other very serious challenge is the peace condition. As you know, for the last 3-4 years, the country was in a change process, and that change process was with many ups and downs.
Sure.
And these ups and downs were very strong challenges for the tourists and the tourist economy as well. These and others were very serious challenges, particularly for the tourist sector, for the tourism sector.
Yeah. So now we are on the first days of 2013, the new year. What are the new prospects and opportunities of 2013 in the area of tourism?
I think whenever you face a problem, it is good to see what opportunity is there. So COVID was one of the challenge for the entire economic sector. Tourism was highly hit by COVID. And we are planning to use 2013 as time of opportunity, because you can remember that people across the world were locked down. Movements were controlled and prohibited. But I imagine that, or I think that countries cannot proceed this way, locking down everything, controlling the movement of people will force you to go to serious economic crises, social crises, and so on and so forth. So I am expecting that countries will decide to work with adapting the conditions of COVID-19. So this is my hope that in Ethiopia we will do the same. We will try to do our activities in spite of the prevalence of COVID-19.
By far, coronavirus COVID-19 is the single most important factor in the area of tourism. And in fact, tourism is the hardest hit area by COVID. So how you are going to confront this challenge in the new year?
My bureau is getting prepared to mitigate the crisis problems by designing strategies of recovery of the problem. So we have already prepared 2 recovery strategies in the tourism sector and in the culture sector. As you know, there are many cultural houses which were already closed, like entertaining areas were closed, cinemas were closed, and other cultural entertainment areas were already closed for the last 5-6 months.
Sure.
And we have to do something to revive this again, whatever the condition is there. The approach would be how people can entertain themselves, controlling and managing themselves from COVID. Even we will have tourists from abroad, and how can we manage the condition? How can we secure? How can we make our tourists very peaceful, though COVID is there? So these are the strategies that we are designing to cope up the problem. The very basic thing is people should keep their distances one from the other. This must be taken as cultural practice in areas of destinations and in areas of entertainment as well. Not only this, they have to protect themselves using sanitizers. They have to think of the health of others, because thinking and caring others will be thinking and caring yourself. So these are the strategies that we are planning to apply for 2030.
Yeah. So let me take you to the general picture, the general reality of tourism in Amhara region. It is a matter of fact that Amhara region is endowed with so many tourism potential. The contradiction is Amhara region is not utilizing its tourism potential. What is the issue? What is the problem?
That is right. Yeah, as you said, the region is very much endowed with historical, cultural, and natural heritages. If it is not that much exaggerated, I can say that if you stand at any spot in the region, I feel that you are either at historical site or cultural site or natural site.
Wow.
This is how I explain the region, how much very rich with tourist attraction sites. This is explained by the marvelous Semen Mountain National Park, the Tana biodiversity, the lake region, the monasteries, the palaces of Gondar. If you go to Gorgora, the palace of Susanios, the palace of Guzara, Gomange. If you go to the Belasai area, you have the Zozamba, Rokeon Church. If you go to Lalibela, you have that marvelous Rokeon churches. Even if you go to Janamora, they call it Sabbar Balexaber, which is another marvelous Rokeon church, which is ancient. Nobody knows whether it is there or not.
Yeah.
If you see the Abune Yosef area of Wollo, if you see the Amhara Saint area again in Wollo, if you come to Gojam again, the Choke Mountain area, the Aratu, Makarakir, all these areas are very fascinating tourist attraction areas. But these are the physical ones. Still, we have intangible resources like Tumkat and many other events like Shadai, Ashandiye, Solal, Kase Acheda in East Gojam, very many. So all these things are wealth for the region. The very problem that I feel to not exploit the resource we have is we haven't promoted. The promotion is the missing link for me. So promotion requires many things.
Yeah.
You need to have media of different type, both domestic and abroad, national and international media, and these need to be accessed. To access, there must be budget again. So for me, the bottleneck is budget, and in relation to budget, the Bureau is not in a position to promote the resource of the region, and that is, I think, the problem.
Yeah, Dr. Mulikan, you have raised a very critical issue as far as the problem of tourism development in Amhara region is concerned,
Sure.
and that is not able to promote the tourism sites of the region.
Yeah.
So I think you are in the right place now, because you are in the media, in a place where you are watched by millions of people. Use Amhara television to convey your message to stakeholders of tourism, like tourist guides, business persons, researchers, and many stakeholders. You can use this opportunity.
No, thank you very much. Our stakeholders, particularly from our region and from our country, the Amhara regional state has a very untapped potential of tourism. And if you come and invest in this area, in this sector, you will be very much beneficiary. You can generate more money for yourself, and you can create job opportunities for your brothers and sisters. So come and work with us. Two stakeholders of the world, I call upon you to come and work with the Amhara National Regional State Culture and Tourism Bureau to work on different tourist destinations and cultural heritages and natural heritages as well. As most of you can understand, this region is a very vast region with a very diverse climate. Our climate varies from the lowland area of Matamma to that of Ras Dajan. Sometimes people call it Ras Dashin, and it is elevational extent is from 500 meters above sea level to that of 4,620 meters above sea level. So you can imagine this very immense diversity with different cultural endowments and very different kinds of cultural practices, cultural traits, you name it. So if you come to our regional state to work with us, our door is open. We are ready to work with you 24 hours, 7 days.
Sure. So, Dr. Mulkan, we are finalizing our interview. I think you were a university lecturer in Bahardar University.
No.
Yeah.
I was a university assistant professor.
Yeah.
At the University of Gondar.
University of Gondar.
Sure.
So you were in the university, in a place where new ideas, new perspectives, solutions, and recommendations are found, right?
Sure.
So how you are going to use those immense knowledge to bring tangible result in tourism development in Amhara region?
That's right. I think to bring a very fundamental change in this sector, using different stakeholders is very vital. Of these stakeholders, the ones are universities. And in our regional state, we have about 11 federal universities across the region. And this is a very great opportunity for us. And we need to work with the university professionals because there are tourism professionals, there are history professionals, there are cultural professionals, and having this human resource means a lot to utilize it. So in the new year, our plan is to sign memorandum of understanding with these universities and to select thematic areas particularly. As I told you, most of the resources we have are not well identified. If you raise Shadai Ashendiye solar, for instance, This is a cultural practice with different cultural traits. And this cultural traits should have its own geographic area. But nobody knows the extent of these practices. So this has to be studied very well. And after that, we have to work on it to attract people from our side to sell it. When we sell it, we will have money, and that money will be for other investments, because our region as a region and our country as a country has very many gaps to be filled. We have a growing number of unemployment, suppose. So if we change the resource we have to money, and that money will be reinvested, and from the reinvestment, very many job opportunities could be created.
Yeah.
So we are planning to use universities this way. We will open, we will invite them to study what resources really do we have, and what amount of money can we generate it, what you call the feasibility study. So we are planning to do this, and yeah, if God helps us, if our country is getting better in terms of peace and security, so that lots of things can be done with them.
Dr. Mulikan Adana, Head of Amhara Region Culture and Tourism Bureau, many thanks for coming here and sharing your views regarding tourism development in Amhara Region. Really, thank you so much for talking to Amhara TV.
Thank you very much for giving me and my office this opportunity to convey our messages to stakeholders, to listeners across the world, so that this support should continue from the Amhara television side.
Sure.
And our office is also ready to work with you. And there are many things that we need to work jointly.
Sure.
And with our joint efforts, we can bring various changes for
make a difference.
our region,
yeah,
and for our country at large.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you indeed. So, dear viewers, this brings us to the end of our program for today. Many thanks for watching Amhara TV, and do stay with the rest of our programs. For now, goodbye.